Hey everybody, Loaded Buggy here, and I am making another Call of Duty commentary. I know, what a 2 week stretch it's been. I think it's been almost 2 weeks of rather consistent videos. And it's pretty amazing. But today I'm making a video, and I figured, at this point, it's been almost a year, if not a year already, since my first video, where I came back and explained to my new audience that I wanted to make Call of Duty commentaries. And I think it's been almost a year since I've done that, if not more than a year. Actually, I think it's already been more than a year. That's irrelevant. Apologies in advance. This video is completely unscripted, completely off the cuff, just like I used to do it back in the old days. And by the old days, I mean a year ago. It hasn't been that long. I haven't been doing this since like 2013 or something. It's completely irrelevant. I don't even know why I'm still talking about this. Anyway, I'm making this video because I kind of wanted to circle back to where I started, and that's talking about a similar topic of one of my first videos, entitled Nostalgia and Getting Older. And today I kind of wanted to talk about that topic again, but from a different lens. I think it's important to continue to talk about these things and remind ourselves to not get lost in the trap of nostalgia. And I think one thing that I have learned is to embrace the nostalgia, but not allow it to become escapism. I think escapism is something that can be rather dangerous. And from personal experience, I dabbled, and by dabbled I mean I dived headfirst into escapism for probably a 3-4 year stretch. I would say from around the age of 14 to 17, I struggled severely with depression. And whenever I was going through that period of my life, I really just kind of leaned into video games in an extremely unhealthy way. And that's where I found my love for Call of Duty as a whole, all the way back then. Back in like 2009, I guess, 2010 is when I really was like falling in love with Call of Duty. And even more so, whenever I was kind of going through that depressive episode, through that handful of years, I embraced my love for Call of Duty in such a way that it became unhealthy and it became escapism. I mean, I was just spending every waking moment in the game, and it was just too much. It became too much, to the point where I would just wake up in the morning, eat breakfast, and hop on the game. And because I was homeschooled, let's just say that I had quite the rocky relationship with school at that time. And I guess I can tell the story another day, but long story short, I ended up dropping out of high school. And although I did go back and get my high school equivalency diploma, so technically I do have I almost said degree. I have a diploma, but I went about it in a very non-traditional way. And a great part of that, one of the reasons that I ended up kind of going that direction, was because I was just super neglectful. And it was because of my dealings with depression, I just dove into the escapism of the Call of Duty world. So rather than dealing with the issues that I had before me, I would suppress them and push them away, push them to the side, allow my brain to lock completely into what I was doing on the game. And in some aspects, it was rather healing. It was, it allowed my brain to just not think those dark thoughts. It allowed my brain to not beat myself up. It allowed my brain to just completely disconnect from everything that I was going through. But at the same time, I wasn't making any progress on getting better. I wasn't really trying to find a solution. I wasn't going to therapy. I wasn't talking with someone who could, walk me through what's going in my head. I wasn't able to really deal or make any progress with the depression that I was going through. And it just kind of stayed. It just leveled out, and I maintained that same level of depression and mental health issues for like 4 years straight. And I think personally it's because of escapism. Personally, I think that my obsession with the game and my obsession with finding myself a temporary relief of the pain that I was going through just delayed the inevitable. It delayed the progress that I could have made. And it wasn't until, 4 years after where my parents were like, hey, you know what? If you're not going to be going to school, you need to get your butt out of this room and go get a job, because you're not going to be sitting around playing games all day long and being completely useless. And not useless in the sense that as a human I was useless, but in the sense that I was not doing anything to contribute to the family. I wasn't doing anything to contribute to my own self-help. I wasn't contributing to the betterment of my mental state. So they're like, you need to at least get out into the world, get a part-time job, and then you're going to go back to school. You're going to get your GED, etc., etc. And I'm like, you know what? I agree. I'm going to do that. And so although I wasn't ready to kind of deal with my depression head on, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe I should get back into the world. Maybe I should get a job, and maybe things will kind of sort itself out on its own. And thankfully, that's kind of what happened. I pushed aside my reclusive nature, and as a result of getting a part-time job, I didn't really have much of a choice but to interact with people. And slowly but surely I started to heal, and being around people and being around really positive and good people, I think that's really what helped me the most, is being around those good people kind of brought me back out of my shell, and I started to heal naturally. Now, do I think that this was the best way of going about it? Absolutely not. I think that therapy or some other way of directly uncovering what was the issue at hand would have been a much better way to go. And I probably, even to this day, in my subconscious have some lingering side effects, if you will, of those depressive thoughts and those depressive, or I should say that depression period of my life. I bet you I still have some of those kind of subconscious things lingering around me even to this day. But pushing aside and pushing my desires aside to just continue to be a recluse and to continue to hide myself away and just be a unhealthy little hermit crab of an introvert, I pushed that aside, got myself a job, and I went back out into the world. And slowly that escapism was becoming less and less of a priority. I was most definitely coming home and hopping on the game after work, but that 4 to 6 hour period where I was around people and around good people, where I was able to finally laugh again and feel kind of this brightness that I wasn't feeling before, it made a big difference. And that gray black cloud that was lingering over my head started to kind of fade away. And it was really good, and it allowed me to kind of break out of my shell and become who I once was. It was a really interesting time in my life, I'll say, and I know I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I just kind of want to talk about my own personal experience and how escapism and whatnot had taken over my life. And I'm so glad that it's no longer a thing for me anymore. I don't really rely on media or nostalgia or escapism to deal with my problems. I have a really good support system with my brothers and my brother-in-law, and a really, really good friend who I consider a brother. They are who I rely on now whenever I'm hurting or whenever I have stress or I just need support or prayer, whatever it is. I can go to them and I can rely on them for non-judgmental support. But back whenever I was 16, I didn't have that. So what did I do? I just, pushed the pain away, and it was escapism. I pushed that pain away, put a Band-Aid on it, and for 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours sometimes in the day, I felt nothing. I was numb because all I did was play that game, and I ran away from my problems. And thank God for my parents pushing me to get back into the real world and to not only get my high school diploma, they call it a HSC, it's basically a GED, but it's a high school equivalency diploma. Thank God for them pushing me to go and get that. Thank God for them for pushing me back into the real world to get a part-time job and be around people again, because without that nudge, without that stern push as a 16 or 17-year-old kid, I would never have healed, even to some capacity. I might be this exact same person now as I was back then, and I'm super thankful for that. I'm thankful for Call of Duty for allowing me to escape, but I allowed that escape to become unhealthy. So I guess this is just a cautionary tale to not allow yourself to use escapism as a band-aid. Remind yourself that you are of value, you are of worth, and you're worth repairing and working on yourself. It's not selfish to ask for help. It's not selfish to get the help and seek the help that you desperately need. And it does no good to yourself to put that band-aid of escapism on. But anyway, I know this was off the cuff. I know this was kind of a ramble. I know this was probably all over the place, but what better way to make a commentary than just like I used to do it back in the old days. So I'm not going to ramble on too much longer. I think you all get the point. This was Loaded Buggy. This was a Call of Duty commentary. Bye now.